the most expensive area of healthcare is when you wind up in a hospital. If you go to an emergency room or you wind up in an acute care setting, that's when it costs the system the most. So everything we do to try and not only do, by the way, what the consumer wants, which is to not go in and want to be cared for at home, to age in place, to understand that wellness and nutrition and drug medication adherence and having nurses and therapists come to your home and telemedicine where we can have you talk to a doctor from your RV in southern Utah, Tim, where you can get the kind of care that you need to get without actually having to access other aspects of the system, not only is going to prove to be incredibly cost efficient, but it's going to prove to be very consumer friendly. I'd keep my eye on all of those different areas. I think that's where healthcare is going the most.
Yeah, I think that's good to know. In fact, just yesterday, my wife's mother is in the Atlanta market, and she had someone. She's probably in a position that she needs assisted living. She's pretty adamant that she doesn't want it, which is a whole nother issue. And my wife, actually, there were two people from the medical, I'll call it space, that were in and out of her apartment yesterday. And my wife has a camera and talks to her on the phone and all this kind of stuff. So I like that. And I actually seems as if the experience with COVID that kind of isolated some people coming into offices may have sped that up, which is very good. Now, I want to shift to intentional disruption, which when I began reading this book, I was like going, what an interesting space that he's in. He's in this medical world, which at times seems very progressive and advanced, and then at times seems slow and stodgy and not very fast moving. Where did intentional disruption, and we'll talk specifically about the book in just a moment, but that's your title. So just so the listener knows, Intentional Disruption is the book that Ben wrote. Where does that fit in medical? Because I haven't seen a lot of disruption over even though I guess there has been, but intentional disruption, tell me about that.
Well, I think the first thing is, Tim, I think there's been a lot of disruption in healthcare. I think if you really think back over the last 20, 30, 40 years, I could go give you a list of, 500 different sort of things that have happened that have changed the way we provide care, even some of the conversations we were having already. It's there. And particularly, from my perspective, Tim, where intentional disruption came from is really this incredible intersection between what I'd been doing for the last 10, 15, 20 years, the industry that I was in healthcare, and some of the ways that I've lived my life and the way that I grew up and some of the actions I took to get from, being a kid in Miami to winding up, running a publicly traded Fortune 500 company when I was 43 years old or something like that.